I'm about to show you how you can use Canva to take images that you've created in ChatGPT that are 90% of the way there to get that other 10% to make them pretty much perfect to use on your Amazon product listings. So if you remember in the last video, I walked you through how you can use JSON prompts to get much more accurate images or much more accurate outputs from ChatGPT. Now, these are mainly so you can really break down the details and the placement of things in that image. So for example, if you want specific colors, if you want specific accents, the layout, if you want things to be in a certain place, or you can just see where things are going to end up on a more consistent basis to make sure things are, closer to your brand guidelines and generally how you want them to look. And that generated an image like this, for example, this really nice infographic. But as you can see, it's, there's some details that are going to make it, it's not exactly like the product. I mean, if we zoom in here, let's open it up, take a closer look. And while that's loading, let me get our original image. For some reason that's not loading. Let me go ahead and refresh. It's not loading. I'm just going to zoom in like this. So here, let's pull that up, and we can just see side by side here. Pull that out of the way. Close that, and we can see side by side here. You can see the color of the text on that text on the new bottle is off. Some details here. That's 60 milliliters on the original. That's saying 150 there. Just the overall texture, it doesn't look like the original. Just subtle details. And of course, this is probably really important. The bearded man in the middle of the label, we want to make sure we get that right. So it doesn't, completely look like somebody else's product you want to make sure it's as close as possible, if not perfect, especially depending on the product. It's going to be, some of these are going to be more difficult if it's like a lot more complex product, but this is probably like the perfect use case, a product like this. But again, depending on your abilities in Canva, you can go quite a long way. Now, I'm showing you this example. A full disclaimer, I am not an expert in Canva. I'm not an expert graphic designer in any way. So this is perfect. This tutorial is going to be perfect if you're a beginner and you need to learn how to do this. So let's zoom back out here. And let's hop over to Canva now. And so basically, I'm showing you the final results of what I've already created. I'm going to walk you through the process, how you can do this. Now, let me see here. Let me pull up the original again. And you can see how that is pretty much the exact same model, except it's even more perfect in this case because we actually have the original bottle. And what we've done is we've actually put the label on top of this bottle. Now I'm going to show you step by step on how to do this with Canva. It's not too difficult, and I think you're really going to like it. And there's a couple ways. I'll show you a couple ways you can do this as well. If you don't want to replace the entire label, maybe it was already pretty close. Maybe you just want to replace a piece of it. Some parts of labels like text are going to be more difficult, but images like this are much easier. Or if it's like a whole section like that, it can be much easier. So I can show you some examples of how to do that as well, depending on your use case. It may be better for you. Okay, so let's go ahead and we're going to start a new image. Just create new design, and we're going to go Amazon product image. And I've already got our image that we used or that we created in ChatGPT. So I'm going to go to uploads and I'll load that in. And we're going to set that as the background image. So pretty nice looking infographic showing off the different features and benefits, or in this case, features. But again, I'm going to show you a few different options that you can do to replace this to where it can look exactly like the product image or your original product image. And again, I'm using a product that I found on Amazon, this Amish beard oil, Honest Amish beard oil, but in your case, and it may not be 100% the best photo possible they could have taken. So that's something else to think about. Again, those are initial photos. That's where you still want to have super high quality photos of your images to begin with. That's going to make everything a lot more simple when you get into manipulating it and editing it. So back to Canva. First thing we're going to do here is we want to get this off of here. This is going to be the first option. We're just going to drop in the entire bottle brand new. Now we don't just want to overlay the other one on top of it. The sizing won't be perfect. If we do that, we could try that. And again, this may work for you. Let's go ahead and try it. We're using the background remover tool. So I just hit edit and you go to background remover and you can get it pretty close. Okay, this could work in some cases, not all. You can see how it almost matches up just perfectly. But again, you might be fighting with it a little bit, but you can get it pretty close. That's definitely an option. You can do this. This can work. And so then what we want to do to make this a little better is come in here and it's actually like running off the top here a little bit. That's the problem with doing it like this. I don't like it because you end up hitting that border. And then if you don't hit the border, then you're like showing the bottle behind it. So it gets a little tricky. So I really don't recommend doing this like this, but yeah, you can try it just to give you the idea. Okay, so you could do it that way. But so I'm going to go ahead and delete this for the moment. And what we're going to do is we're going to get this out of here completely. And then we're going to drop our new bottle in. It's going to make it a little easier to manipulate and not have to worry about like the edges of the other bottle showing. So let's go to, got it selected. So we're going to edit our image and we're going to go to magic grab here. This is what has made Canva pretty amazing, is that you could do this. And it already knows what we wanted. I didn't have to do, I didn't even have to select anything, but you can select here, or there's different options, and we'll show you that here in a second. But we're just going to click it since it's pretty simple and grab, and just wait for a second, and look what we got. And so it's pretty much selected the bottle, and it's left even the shadow behind it. Okay, so we can just go ahead and get rid of that. We'll just delete that. Now we're going to take our other bottle, drop that in, background remover, and make this a little bigger. Match up to the shadow pretty nice, bigger. Again, you can manipulate this, take your time with it. Purposes of this video, I think that's looking pretty close. I like it. Okay, just that alone. So, I mean, this is already pretty close. You could just leave it at that and be pretty good. Now, I'm going to take this a step further. I'm going to come back in here and we're going to edit this. And we're just going to add a simple filter to it. Now you can click through the different filters until you could find something that kind of, basically you're trying to make the shading or the coloration of the image, if that's the right term, kind of match what is in the infographic. Probably a more technical term for what I just said, but that's how I think about it. And you can see that, yeah, it's too red, too dark, or too whitish, to white it out. I think, yeah, this is the one I actually used. I like this one, but again, you could play around with it until you find one that looks better. But again, also, this is why I'm going to show you how to just replace certain parts of it, because this could work. This is pretty close, but it's kind of made that, I don't know, a little bit, just looks a little off, this part up here to me. And whereas if you left the original bottle in here, it would probably, at least those other general details that were easy for ChatGPT to make and blend in with the infographic, it's going to make it blend a lot better. It's obviously, it was created to fit it. So, but this could work in some cases. You could do this, add the filter, you've already got the shadow, and you're done. That's one option. Let's go ahead and undo, get this out of here, and let's bring our old bottle back in. Button a few times, bring our bottle back in. There we go. Okay. Now, the problem is here again, so we're going to try replacing different parts of the label. So first of all, let's say maybe all this was correct, and maybe you just wanted to replace the logo or bearded man in the middle here. So what we can do, just bring this in. And again, I want to just, let's see, we're going to edit just this image. We're going to grab specific parts of it, specifically the center part of it, and edit. And we're going to go to magic grab, and we're going to go to brush this time. So this is going to show you how to get a little more accurate. And we're going to use the auto detect. We're going to make sure we get this entire circle area perfect. Get a little more accurate there. Zoom in a little bit. And let's go around here. And because we're using that magic grab or the auto detect, you don't have to get it super perfect. But yeah, you might have to do it a couple times potentially. But Canva is pretty good now, so you don't have to be exact. And we'll see what it gets. Yeah, even though I bled over a little bit, it still it's still pretty much a perfect circle. So that's pretty amazing. We're gonna grab that. Okay, now we got this. You can just set that off to the side. Let's just move that out of the way for the moment. And take this and drop it right in here. Let's zoom in. And you can see the coloring is a little off, but it's pretty close. Probably guess what I'm gonna do next. That's probably a little slightly bigger. There we go. Okay, yeah. I mean, it doesn't matter. You could go over the original one a little bit, as long as it doesn't hit the text below or the label above. I mean, you're good. Get it in there. Oh, another trick you could do is just use the arrow keys to move things slightly if your hand's not steady with the mouse or magic pad like mine. So yeah, that's close enough for the example. And let's see. Now we're going to go to edit. Make sure we got it selected. Escape. Select the right thing. Okay, edit. And we're going to go. We used Elder. Let's go find that one again. Bang. There we go. Looks almost perfect. The shading and coloring to the rest of the bottle pretty much matches amazingly at this point. Now, where you run into trouble again is trying to get this part or this text, trying to replace that piece by piece. It's going to be a little more difficult and tedious. I actually did try on my own to replace this, and it wasn't great. You still run into the coloring not being quite right because this background of this image is different from our original. Let me bring that over and see it. You can see the original coloring is different, and that's kind of matching that text, the coloring of the background. So if you try to bring that in, it could look a little off. So yeah, that's not going to be the best idea to do that. But just to give you a quick example, let's see, let me leave that. We'll go back to our image here, and don't worry that that's showing. We got our image selected. We're going to go to edit. I'm going to go to, actually, let me delete this one. We're going to bring in the image again because it kind of blurred when I grabbed that other part of it. It blurred the text. You got to pay attention to those little details or it'll get you. So now we're going to grab it, edit, and magic grab again. And we're going to go to brush. And we're going to go to auto select. That would be super tedious if you try to brush this whole thing out. Pretty much impossible manually. And so we can grab this. So let's say, for example, we just wanted to do the premium first. This is probably the harder part because of the white or lighter, not white, but lighter color fill in the text. Let's see what it gets. Okay, so you could see it grabbed, this is what I'm talking about. It grabbed the outline, but it didn't grab the center. So you'd have to go over this a few times and maybe you can finally get it because it's trying to figure out what you want. It's because it sees the different colors on the listing. Let's try it again. No, it's still not grabbing at all. So let's just try to grab it. And I'll show you what will happen. I've got that. Okay, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. So I mean, it could work. Let's try to grab this. We'll go here, edit, magic grab, do the same thing. We're going to go to brush, zoom in here, and we're just going to grab the premium. We're going to get rid of that. Okay, now you can see what happened there. It still left some junk there. So yeah, this is where it's going to be tougher. You're going to have to like play around with this till you actually get rid of the original text. And then, yeah, it's just not, there's a few issues there. So you're going to have to play around with that until you can get that completely out of the way. And then you have the additional issue of, if you look at the original bottle, oops, I need to bring a new one in there, have it. Look at the original texture of the bottle. It's just different than the original. So, we could skip all this, and what we're going to do is bring in the entire label on top of this. I just wanted to show you the examples because in some cases, maybe your label is not that complex and you're not going to have these issues. And maybe it's, going to blend easier if you just try to delete one piece of text and bring the other, you're all good. But in this case, a little more complex of a label. So we're going to try to drop the whole label in all at once. So let's go ahead and undo out of this stuff. Let's go ahead and delete that for now. We'll delete that. And so the first thing we're going to have to do is get rid of this label. So we're going to select the image, edit, and we're going to go to Magic Grab once again. And we're going to go to brush, turn on the auto detect. And now this could be done manually as well, since it says you don't have to turn the auto detect on for this one. Oops. I just didn't get it that time. Deselect. Doesn't have to be perfect. It's my first time my hand slipped off the mouse pad. Or Magic Apple, whatever it's called. Magic trackpad, that's what I'm trying to think of. All right, grab this, fill it all in, and shouldn't have to get too perfect, but here we go. Let's see what it gets. Okay, it grabbed that part up there. Don't like that. Let's try it one more time. So, yeah, let's make this a little brush size a little bigger. This will make it easier. Be careful not to grab parts of the bottle so that doesn't get confused. It's probably the most important thing. Okay, let's try it this time. Still not quite there. Let's try it one more time. In worst case scenario, you can drop the new label on top of on top of this one. That's another option as well. It's just going to be easier if we can just get rid of this altogether. Okay, so that time I actually got it. So one of the tricks is if it bleeds over, you can try just clicking additionally outside of the label, and it should help to kind of deselect other things that you didn't want. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and grab that, and we can just move that right off the bottle. Perfect. So pretty amazing detail there. And we can move that out of the way. Just delete that one. And we'll bring in our other bottle. And we're basically going to do the same thing. Go to Edit, Magic Grab, and we're going to Brush, Auto Select. And let's get a nice big brush, make this easier on us. Should pretty easily see what we want. Let's let it go. See what it gets. Perfect. Okay. That should work pretty well. Go ahead and grab that. And let's move that out of the way, and let's just delete this image. So now all we have to do is size this up. Just take your time with this part. And it doesn't have to be 100% perfect. Like, for example, you can see how this edge is kind of a little bit messed up, but I'll show you how we can fix that. Main thing is because the important thing to remember when you're dealing with a label like this, or from my experience, is, nobody's going to complain like when they were looking at the front view of the label that they didn't see the side view of the label, exactly like it, was when if they got it and they looked at it in real life. So don't worry about that. So we've got it here. Now we can just basically slide this over to where we have the edge of the actual bottle. Okay. So now we have that like nice real edge. Just cut that off a little bit. Again, there you go. And we can actually, let's see, it is slightly, let's just rotate it just a tiny bit, slightly. There we go. Let's bring this back over a tiny bit. There we go. Let's get this, play around with this a little bit. And we can also just cut off a part of the label as well. That's pretty close. Let's get this slightly over a little bit. We want that the nice edge of the bottle to kind of give that blurred effect. Turn that 1 degree. Let's test this out. The rotate is not the best. Let's slide this over a tiny bit. What we'll do is, what we'll have to do is just clean up that edge right there and how it's sticking out a little bit on this side. So let's just grab this. And all of this is going to be easier depending on how well you cropped it to begin with, but that's pretty good. I mean, that's barely noticeable if you look at that from a distance. Now, if we wanted to just, we could tweak this little by little all day, but you get the idea. It's just a little bit over the edge there now. And so we could, grab that with a eraser tool. Okay, so we could come in here, edit. We could come in here and do magic eraser, a really small brush, and just shave off that end a little bit. Just erase that part. Quite get it. Let's go in again. Cut it off a little more. Erase, kind of blurring it away a little bit. Let's do it one more time. Okay, that's too much. Undo. Let's go a little bit smaller here. Okay, back. Grab this and just very slightly. There we go. Size that up a little bit more now. There we go. Now, the only issue is it looks like this is just slightly off right here on that edge. And it's mainly, this hard edge right here is mainly because of, let's see, let me try to just, let's get it over slightly a little more. And the biggest issue now is that this coloring is just not quite right. It doesn't look like it blends in with the shadow over here. So what we need to do is go to Elements, and we're going to grab one of the shadows here. We can grab, let's see, any of these should work. Let's try this one because it blurs all the way to white. And it's going to give us a nice big, actually, this one is not going to let us do what we want. Let's get rid of that one. Let's go to this one because this one's actually going to let us cut off that dark part because we don't want it too dark. We want to be able to adjust the edges to cut it off. So now I can bring this in. It's mainly for that part. Yeah, we'll do the whole thing. It's going to be more noticeable down below. Now, okay, just cut that off right there. Bring it to the edge, like automatically snap to the edge there. So that looks really good. So now you can see how the difference, if you get rid of this, we delete it, see how it's like looks more flat, and then you add that depth with the shading. All of a sudden it blends in with that shadow there. Huge difference. So yeah, just undoing or redoing, you can see a big difference there. Gives it a little more depth. Now the only thing that still bugs me a little bit is that it's a little bit off right there. Maybe you could do a better crop. Could do a better crop with that. It's either that or you have to shave off. You widen this a little bit and then shave off the edge. That would just take a little bit more time, but it can be done. Not too hard. For the purposes of this video, we'll leave it at that. Now, we can also come in here. If you really want to get even closer, because that shadow right here is, up a little higher, and that maybe that part right there. You can also grab other shadows like this one here. See where it is. We're going to put it way up here. And we can rotate this thing. And again, we want that little edge mainly. First, let's reduce the size of it. And then we can cut it off. And we can zoom in real close in here. And we can see where the other one ends. Okay. So we could butt this one right up against it to kind of get that last little curve. Slide it out more to the right. That off. Let's do a little more. You get the idea. Yeah. And so when you zoom out, you basically just can't tell the difference at all. There you got your beard oil. And one last thing I forgot to do, actually. Let's hop in here and we want to edit. Almost forgot. We got to put in our filter, we wanted elder. There we go. Now we're actually matching the background, kind of the shading and coloring of this particular scene. It is now matching a lot better. And again, it does look slightly off, maybe a little as far as the shadow right here still, but you could come in again and you could play with this shadowing until you got it just right. Add a little more darker, make it to where it darkens even more here. And you could simply do that by coming in here and dragging that out. So now you have more, it's darker right there. So you could bring that in, and that darker piece is going to be in alignment. It's going to make it more in alignment with the darker setting down here. It depends on how much you wanted to go there. But yeah, that looks pretty damn good. And in the final product, again, you got the perfect bottle that ChatGPT made, because a bottle's a bottle. No one's gonna look at your bottle and compare this bottle to that bottle and say, well, yours had scratches or dust on the lid, whereas this one was perfect. It's the exact same bottle pretty much. People care more about these details here. This is what's really gonna matter. Like if it shows up with a completely different font and all that, they could be a little confused potentially. And, because we got the actual label on there, it shows the TM, you can see all that good stuff. Here, we can make sure the measurements is exactly right, 60 milliliter instead of 150. So all good there. As I said, again, come in here, maybe try the label again and get that edge a little more perfect over here, either by, cropping it out better next time, trying a different angle with the selector, or after the fact, taking the time to, get this edge off of the label up top here, where it seems to bleed over if you do try to, push the label out a little further, because that is the other option. You can do this and get it out further to get it better looking down here, because that actually looks better. And I'd still say, that actually might be easier to do. Just cut this part off. But even that, you could leave it like that and it'd still be pretty close. If you're watching this now, it's likely you are interested in trying to do this on your own. So definitely get into Canva, play around with it, use the tools that I just used. You can dive deeper into Canva, and they're coming out with new updates all the time. So as we go forward, it's going to be easier and easier to get 100% of the way there with more and more different types of products that are maybe more complex than the example that I'm showing here. Currently, you can still get 100% of the way with a lot of products because of how good ChatGPT is initially, getting you 90% of the way there. And Canva is pretty amazing with its AI and its ability to select and remove and edit certain details of the listing or product image in this case. That said, if you did get some value out of this video, really appreciate a thumbs up, and also subscribe and turn on your notifications, as we'll continue to put out new videos just like this one or similar, where we're showing you how to use different tools and latest technology, including AI, to make it easier to optimize your brand on Amazon. That's it for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.